tuning in. What's up? So there was this time I was about to quit my job. I had 100K on my phone I was looking at, but I couldn't. I did not know how to walk into the office and tell the president of the company, hey, thank you for the opportunity, but I gotta go do me. And that cost me the same 100K. Now, when I look back on this, I often reflect on something that Alex Hormozi talks about. He talks about one of the biggest obstacles in starting a business is not the plan. It is finding the courage to leave your job. It's finding the courage to look stupid in front of other people. Because what if the people you care about or you care about their validation see you fail? And in those failures is actually your salvation. It's your growth. If you're not the person that can succeed, the failure teaches you that. You see, we all want the simple, padded version of learning how to ride our bike. We don't want to fail. We want it to work out the first time. We want to lace up our ice skates and scurry on out to that ice rink and never fall. But one of the things about being a great person is the scars, the battle, the war. So, my old job, I was well drilling, and it's kind of a hard profession. It might be one of the harder professions out there. And I'm sure that there's a myriad of other different jobs, for lack of a better term, that people have that are much more difficult. But for me, it was challenging. It was a two-man crew, and I had an operator, and then there was me. I was the hands. I was the little guy. I was the new guy, and I quickly rose to becoming the favorite new guy. And then I became the guy that was trusted to go ahead and just get the job done. And my foreman and me spent a lot of time together, making sure that people all across America, or at least the East Coast in America, were getting water. And I've had some jobs that, we got there and Passaic County is telling us that if this well doesn't go on, the faucets in an entire sector of the county will not turn on, and civil unrest could ensue. So this was an important job for me, and coming from my background in particular, it was invigorating to know that we were actually part of the substructure of society. Um, but the issue was that as much as I liked hanging out with my foreman in the truck, and our work relationship was really well. There was this aspect of it where me and him are working for the man, and I was spending a lot of time with a guy that spent his life working for the man, and that to me was probably near, probably close to as emasculating as an event as whatever, pants dropping in front of the girl you like, or just completely bombing on stage. You just fill in the blank, worst fear socially. So I decided that I had to make a change, and luckily the universe for me at the time, whatever it was, the world, luckily for me, I had friends, and some of my friends were like me because you got to hang out with the winners. So my winner friends were making moves and shucking and jiving, and me and my buddy kind of met and were doing odd jobs. And before I did the well drilling, we were working at this company, and the work that this company did was, me and him were good at it. I'm good at everything I do if I put enough time into it. And some things I'm naturally good at. Some things I naturally ride the bike the first try, and some things I fall a couple times and I learn. But for this particular video, the jobs that we were doing together, me and my buddy, we worked well at. So time went on, And my buddy and me kind of like during the summers would do this job because it's pretty seasonal. Um, so that led us to a point where, you know, we were doing it and he was doing it kind of full time. He kind of quit everything he was doing on the side. I think he was managing a warehouse or something and working at some kind of facility doing therapy, utilizing the degree and allowing himself to stay busy, stay in motion, Newton's law. So, what happened next was actually really interesting because when he decided to go all in, it was almost like hell. I remember he was like famished most of the time. He was like broke. He often was needing help, but his attitude was never that of somebody that was struggling at all. His attitude was that of somebody that was in the grips of something great. And just because the outside world didn't conform to that vision yet, he just stayed steadfast in his mind. Like, no, I'm now doing this thing. And yeah, we look like a couple of losers pulling up in our personal vehicles to people's houses to do work. I mean, one of our first jobs for that matter, the homeowner came out and literally gave us $20 to go away. So, I remember I was with my buddy at that moment and I had to look over at him and say, "Listen, man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about." He had two of the best guys, two of the best guys in his presence, and his spirit wouldn't even let us walk away with zero. He knew he had to give some value somewhere, so whatever. We turned around from that. But that led me to like a really hard kind of decision to see my buddy struggling. One, two, his car broke down like middle of the summer when our particular business season was really getting pretty busy. Busy for a couple small timers working out of their own cars. Um, like whatever 20 different clients or something. Maybe it's 20 clients or 12. Maybe it was, yeah. So that's a big difference. But I think it was like 12. I think we had like 12 clients and like maybe we did like 30 one day, one time jobs. But it was busy for us because those 12 clients were every week we were going to do some service for them, kind of subscription style home service. So I was still working my regular job. I was clocking in 4 a.m. to Lord knows what time, drilling wells from Delaware all the way up to Long Island, New York, Monday through Friday. And I think I even did a Saturday at one point there. And they were paying me what you would expect a well driller to get paid. We were being paid federal rate somewhere like $67 an hour, something like that. And then man, I think you take home like 55 an hour and you're doing maybe 55, 60 on a really, really long week. You're doing 75 hours. So I was making 100K on paper before tax. My life, I had set up a life that was designed around making 100K a year on paper. So my bills, my payments, my lifestyle was, pretty much wound tight around that money being available. Why do I bring that up? The act of courage. There are no perfect exits for this guy. I'm sure for you might be able to plan it in such a brilliant manner that you get out at the right time perfectly and it all works out, but not all of us ride the bike the first time. So I kept hustling. I did it, and then we finished our season in like October, and we still had some work, but it's slower in the winter. So I'm pretty much at the end, physically, mentally, more than physically, but physically, I was starting to take a big beating. Working 7 days a week for, I believe, 5 months straight was really started to tear me up. And my health and mental health was, kind of at the end, man. Like I was done. So I kept going for months. And I think it was, like I said, October we finished closing up a lot of our 12 one of our 12 all of our 12 clients that we had weeklies, and I took all of the money that I had, any bit of savings, and I invested it like any smart young man would do. I invested it all, and I went long on a few investments. So I basically gambled. I thought it was an educated gamble, but that's what all gamblers think. And I turned, I believe, an 8K, investment into XRP. At the height of it, it was 100K. Now, while I was watching it go up to 100K within, I believe it took 3 or 4 days, I would check my phone periodically and I'd be like, whoa, like we got 20 grand. And then it's like a couple hours later, whoa, we got 50 grand. And then eventually I looked down and I was like, we got 90 grand here. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I make this after a whole year of work. I can make it, and I could do the business with this money here, and I'll be good. Like, I can probably take 50K and just invest it back into my company. Yeah. I went to sleep with that in my head. Like, as soon as this touches 100, I'm making an exit. And, I didn't ride the bike the first time in investing either. Like, I was emotional as hell about it. We all know what happened next. I watched it go from 90K to 80K, from 80K to 75K. And then I sat and watched it. And I was in New York at this time. I remember it clearly at a La Quinta. And I'm sitting there at the La Quinta in my bedroom after a long day outside working working with the well, and it shot back up, after one of them big blow off top moments just came in, and boom, it rose. It rose. And I watched it, the account hit 100K, and I was done, man. I'm looking at this well in front of me that next morning once it hit, and I'm like, I'm good. I felt amazing. I felt like the man. I felt like the man. And I was driving home from Long Island to South Jersey, and the whole drive home I'm like, I don't even want to listen to music no more, dude. Like, I just want to I just feel like good. I feel complete. I feel like what a man on his mission and ambition should feel like. And to my credit, I was in my moment. I was in my glow. Except I had one issue. I could not decide how I was going to leave my job. See, the entire drive home, I didn't want to listen to music because I was worried about what my foreman would think, what my colleagues would think, what my boss would think if I walk in and tell them, thank you for the opportunity. I will not be here on Monday. Common courtesy is 2 weeks at the very least, but you gotta understand, I was at the edge 6 months ago. So for me, it's like I get common courtesy, and to honor the class of even myself, I should have given them 2 weeks. And I might have had I made that decision. Instead, I didn't make any decision. I did nothing at all. I instead went into my brain and said, instead of making an action to change my life, I'm going to allow this bet to ride, and I'll sell it 2 million. I'll sell it 2 million. Yeah, fun time. So I waited 2 days to get $2 million, and those 2 days cost me 100K. Gone. The market moved, timing shift, and my opportunity had all but vanished. See, fear of what others think will cost you more than any business failure ever could. The only fatal mistake is letting fear keep you small. Sometimes the scariest leap is the safest choice you'll ever make. If I had just made that choice, I would have had to have sold because I wouldn't have had a job anymore. I would have had to have secured the bag, gentlemen, ladies. I know you heard that. Get away. I instead squandered an opportunity, and opportunities leave. But don't be afraid. Have no fear because another opportunity is here. So I licked my wounds. I got back up. I trained my mind harder. I re engaged. I went over what went wrong. I said, okay, these things went wrong. And instead of leaving my job with 100K safely put away, nice little ride, instead, in the darkness of winter, at the lowest point, at the lowest volume our business gets all year, I left the job. I quit. I just quit, walked away. In that moment, took more courage than leaving with all the money in the world because now I had to do it. Now I have to win. What's fear costing you right now? Drop a comment below. I'll read all of them. Peace.